In 104.5 The Zone, as if you've been riding or listening in your car on 104.5 The Zone, or possibly listening on the Zone app, to our game of the week. Green Hill takes out Wilson Central 27-20 going into this ball game. There were a lot of people questioning how good Green Hill really was because, yes, they were 3-0, but the teams that they have beat their record is 1-9 going into the fourth week of the high school football season. So how good was Green Hill? Well, I think we got our answer tonight because it was homecoming in Mount Juliet, and we said it at halftime. If there's ever a thought in your mind about missing the opening kickoff or missing the first play of a ball game, the game between Green Hill and Wilson Central is the reason why you do not get to a ball game late, because Wilson Central got the ball to start the game, and here was the very first play from line of scrimmage.
Signal caller. He takes the pistol snap. Hands off. McCathin running around right edge towards the 50 as McCathin is tackled at the 45. Ball came out. Green Hill already celebrating. The indication is Green Hill football.
So Green Hill gets the football back. Then they immediately turn around. And it wasn't 45 seconds later, Green Hill does this.
First down. Little trickery here. Double reverse. Pass deep. Burrows over everybody. Pass caught at the 20. 15, 10, 5. Down the far sideline. Aaron Mattingly for 6.
Now, going into this ball game, the talk was about Wilson Central, their running attack, and how good it was, especially against Laverne in their 28-14 victory. Green Hill had that big punch in the mouth at the beginning, but the thing is, once they scored that touchdown after the second play of the ball game, they went for two, trying to get Wilson Central sleeping, and instead they missed that. So it's only 6-0, and Wilson Central answered the very next drive.
Mayfield takes the snap, puts it in the belly of number 5, McCathin, navigating his way to the left, now breaks free. McCathin 20, 15, 10, 5, and all the way home. A 36-yard touchdown run by big number 5, Antoine McCathin.
Antoine McCathin last week against Laverne had 143 yards rushing and a touchdown. That was his first touchdown of the night. That put Wilson Central up 7-6 because they kicked the extra point to take the lead. You go to the second quarter, Wilson Central again, and this time it's Ethan Kimes.
Takes the snap, screen pass, Kimes, caught, midfield, 45, Kimes with a stiff arm under the 40, gets by a man 30, 25-20, Ethan Kimes off to the races, and he won't be stopped. 46 yards to the house.
Now it's 13-6. They go into the half. Green Hill has their homecoming ceremony, an extended halftime. Every bit of that coming out of halftime. Green Hill gets the football to start the second half, and Nick Owens helps Green Hill tie the game up.
Burrows, shotgun snap, looking left, has a man there. There's Harris at the 5 with defenders all over him, stretching out the football, and he's in. Touchdown, Nick Owens and Green Hill.
So Green Hill takes that touchdown, ties it up 13-all. We go into the fourth quarter. It is tied at 13 apiece. And then Aaron Mattingly, who had the touchdown earlier in the game for the first score for Green Hill, has an opportunity at his second touchdown of the game, and he doesn't miss it.
He's back at the right hip of his quarterback, Burrows, standing in the gun, taking the snap, fakes right, comes back left, screen pass caught, midfield, 45-40, 35-30, this is Mattingly, track meet along the far sideline, Mattingly to the 10, to the 5, and all the way to the end zone. 53 yards. Aaron Mattingly is the man of the night in green.
That was his second touchdown. Green Hill gets the ball back again, fourth quarter, only up by one score. Braden Jones tries to ice it for the Hawks.
Cannon Burrows alone in the gun, takes the snap, throws over the middle, got a man there at the 10, 5, end zone, Braden Jones. 2-score lead for Green Hill as big number 11 hauls it in.
Now look, It is 27-13 at this point in time. Everybody in Green Hill thinks the ball game is over. Wilson Central is trying to go down. They're trying to get into the end zone. It comes down to a big fourth down play, and it leads to a fantastic catch by Wilson Central to get them to first and goal, and then they finish it off with this touchdown.
Field back into the game as he takes the shotgun snap, puts it in the belly of his tailback, McCathin, who goes untouched 3 yards into the end zone.
3 yards, 27-20. And at that point in time, Green Hill gets the football back. Green Hill has the ability to kill the clock. They end up winning 27-20 to get that big region win. And that is how we start Friday Night Finals tonight. You can watch Friday Night Finals no matter where you are, on Twitch, on YouTube, on Facebook, on X. Every single place that you can. The FNM Bank chat is available to you as well, that you can hop in and you can get those scores in if you've been watching possibly on TV with the My 30 game, as it is still going right now. Springfield is up 34-27 over Station Camp. Sammy Kincaid is going to be joining us from that ball game once it wraps up there. We've also got some people throughout Middle Tennessee. CJ Ecke is going to be joining us, as he was over in the Borough tonight for a ball game as well. So we'll be talking to him here in just a little bit about Siegel and Coffee County. Tate Matthews, obviously you hear him every single morning, every single Saturday morning here on 104.5 The Zone. He is at the CPA game, as well as they took on NBA tonight. So a lot of those games. And then the game that excited me the most, and this is the last update before we get to break and start getting into more of our scores here on Friday Night Finals. 6-3 the final, Macon over Smith. At the end of regulation, it was tied at 3 apiece. Macon gets a field goal on the first possession of overtime. Smith gets the football. It is 4th and goal from the 2-yard line, and Smith fails to convert, fails to score and win the ball game. And the final score of that one is 6-3. So to show you the wide range of scores that you're going to hear tonight on Friday Night Finals, you had that game taking place, and then you also have a game like Father Ryan and Brentwood Academy, where Father Ryan won 56-21. Those are the different spectrum. Christian Brothers tonight beat Hillcrest 61-0. So you have some low-scoring ball games, and you have a lot of high-scoring ball games as well. If you've got a score for us, 615-737-1045 gets you in. Of course, the FNM Bank chat is open, as I have mentioned. On Twitter, or I should say X, you can shoot us a message at 104.5 The Zone, and myself at Joe Hunk. However you want to get that in. When we come back, we're going to start getting into some of those scores. We're going to talk to some of our correspondents as throughout Middle Tennessee as well. This is Friday Night Finals on 104.5 The Zone. Friday night finals, week 4 of the regular season. As I am Joe Hunk with you every single Friday night. Wrapping up our 104.5 The Zone game of the week. Green Hill takes out Wilson Central 27-20, as that's one of the scores coming in. We mentioned the F&M Bank chat. Watertown tonight lost to DeKalb 10-20, and got some questions coming in as well, as we are looking for some scores. One person, matter of fact, is Michael, asking about the score of Gallatin, as Gallatin tonight is a winner 48-14 as they beat Dixon County just a little while ago. A lot of finals happening, and then there's some games that are still in the fourth quarter. We mentioned the My 30 game. That game is just now wrapping up, and we'll be here in just a little bit. And so we'll be keeping you updated on some of those. Some other callers that we've had call in so far. We had Marshall County taking out Greenbrier 37-0. We appreciate that phone call, as well as Hillsboro getting a 27-7 win tonight as well. So you can get in, and as we wait for some of our correspondents to get set up and get ready to go, here are some finals. Around Middle Tennessee tonight, Innsworth taking out Knoxville Catholic 38-14. You also have Father Ryan, as we mentioned just a little while ago, 56-21. Just a few seconds ago in the F&M Bank chat, somebody just asked about Lebanon and Cookeville, as Lebanon won tonight 41-17. Upperman beat Livingston Academy tonight 35-14. South Pittsburgh getting their fourth win of the season, winning 29-7. Mount Juliet on the road tonight at Warren County 37-6. You also had Hillsboro beating Cane Ridge, as we just mentioned a few seconds ago, 27-7 on Twitch. We just got a score. Davidson over BGA 43-26 is the final score for that ball game. East Nashville tonight took out Maplewood 47-0. Giles County getting their second win of the season, going to 42-7 on, or I should say 42-7 is the score. They went 2-2 on the season. Shelbyville beat Columbia tonight 29-27. Another update from our Twitch stream is Pope Brep beat Webb 40-7. Tonight, Franklin County took out Tullahoma 17-16, getting their first win of the regular season. You had White House going to 4-0 tonight, as they won 24-7. Peabody took out Adamsville 30-20. Hickman County beat Lewis County, Lewis County beat Hickman County 34-6. We appreciate the phone call. If you've got a score, you can shoot us that tweet or give us a call at 615-737-1045. Don't forget that you're also going to have Tate Matthews coming up tomorrow morning, getting you going on 104.5 The Zone, recapping a lot of these high school football games that we have had here in Middle Tennessee. Another unique game. We talked about it just a little while ago with Will and Lucas, as Lipscomb Academy loses again tonight, as they lost they are now 1-3 on the season. Obviously, they just lost to Baylor, they lost to IMG Academy, and they lost to Saraland just a couple of weeks ago. But losing tonight, 34-31. But one ball game that we were paying attention tonight, and we sent him as CJ Ecke out, was Siegel and Coffee County. Coming into the ball game, Siegel was averaging over 51 points a game. Coffee County was only averaging 9 points a game on offense. And matter of fact, Ecke just dropped his phone call. He's somewhere in the borough. He's totally dropped on us. CJ is back. Ecke, welcome into Friday Night Finals, man. How did that game go tonight between Siegel and Coffee County? All right, we're going
away with it.
There you are, CJ. Sorry about that. Start over, bud.
Oh, hello.
How's it going, big man?
Hey, it's a good night out at Siegel High School, not far from my house here in Murfreesboro. But as I was getting on, well, it was a night. It was a homecoming for Siegel, and it's the 20th anniversary of the founding of Siegel High School. So a lot of pomp and circumstance tonight, but on the field, Seagulls took control of this game early and didn't let go. The final score ended up being 21-0, but that's not necessarily an indicator of how dominant the game was for Seagull. It wasn't as close as the score indicated, to say the least. And I know I went over some of the stuff early in the first half. Had a touchdown run from Thomas Santel, the senior quarterback, make it 7-0 in the second quarter. Big play alert from Teron Grant. He got behind the defense and went full extension with his arms, pulls the ball in and takes it 64 yards to the house. And that made the score 14-0 at the break. The third quarter was all on the defense for Seagull, swarming to the ball and just suffocating Coffee County offensively. And at the end of the day, another touchdown to Teron Grant, his second of the day from 10 yards out, make it 21-0. And from that point, it was all defense for the Seagull Stars. Again, the final score, Seagull 21, Coffee County Central nothing. And Seagull's 4-0 for the first time in a long time. And if you look down the schedule for the Stars, you got a non-district game next week, and then a district game against the Blackman Blaze. And then after that, if they're able to stay unbeaten, it sets up a home game with the Oakland Patriots, who have absolutely dominated the Midstate over the last 3 years. And it will more than likely be the biggest game that Seagull has had maybe in the school's history.
Well, no, and you mentioned that they're 4-0. Started the season off beating Shelbyville. They took out Laverne. They beat Smyrna. They win against Coffee County tonight, which is what's crazy about it, is we talked about it before you came on, how many points they were averaging, and to quote-unquote only score 21 tonight, even though they didn't give up any points in the ball game, is huge. Now they take on Hendersonville. Matter of fact, as you were talking, CJ, we just got a phone call in about how Blackman just picked up their first win of the season, winning 28-27 over Summit. So they have 2 more games before that big game that you were talking about with Oakland that's coming up on September 28th.
Absolutely, and I know Blackman under Matt Kreisky, first-year coach, and came over from Centennial the year before. It's really for them about establishing the way that they want to play ball. They're getting back to the style of play that Blackman had become famous for the better part of a decade. So I was talking to one of the coaches on Seagull's coaching staff, and he was talking about the process it takes to get a program, to turn a program into the vision that you want it to have. And he said for Seagull, it's different because a lot of the kids that have grown up in this program really haven't experienced success like this before. And I think that that's something that that Matt Kreisky is probably going to be dealing with at Blackman. They always have the talent, but it's just a matter of setting the expectation and getting the kids to follow through with that. And I think that that's something that Seagull has gotten to this point, but now it's about handling the success that they're having. Again, 4-0 for the first time in a long time it's not something to sneeze at, but knowing at the same time that there's still more to do. You still have to get better. There's a lot going on in that department. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Seagull handles what's going on as the schedule gets deeper and the games get more and more important.
Well, we appreciate it, man, because we know that you've been out in the borough. You were out there with us tonight at Scoreboard with 3HL, and you were talking about it. Hendersonville tonight went to 3-1 as they beat Hunters Lane 47-0. So you've got 2 teams that are combined 7-1 record going to be playing each other next week. And so we definitely appreciate that one, bro, and have a great rest of your night.
You too, Hunk. Thank you.
No problem at all. CJ Ecke, he was out at Siegel for Siegel Coffee County as Siegel gets that win 21-0. Getting ready to take on Hendersonville in that non-region matchup. Hendersonville, like I just mentioned, now 3-1. Winning over Hunters Lane after winning 47-0. We come back. We've got more of your scores as well. You want to have a score for us? We're getting phone calls. We're getting those going, as well as the F&M Bank chat is open for you. You can shoot us a message on X right there. We're at 1045 The Zone, or at Joe Hunk and myself. And when we come back, more of your updates and more continuing right here on the Friday Night Finals. This is 1045 The Zone. $55 remaining in Friday Night Finals tonight here on 1045 The Zone. I am Joe Hunk. Games wrapping up around Middle Tennessee and all across Tennessee, as a lot of high school fans are starting to change their jerseys and T-shirts from their school attire to either black and gold, or they're getting into some orange and white, getting ready to head over to Knoxville for the home opener, which, by the way, you'll be able to hear right here on 1045 The Zone tomorrow afternoon. But one game that, the game went on for forever, and in fact, it just wrapped up just a few moments ago, is the My 30 game between Springfield and Station Camp. And our girl Sammy Kincaid on the sidelines. You can see her every single Friday night on the sidelines for My 30. And Sammy, we're watching this game, and it seemed like it was low scoring. And then at some point in time, you had a blocked field goal just to start this game off. Like, how did all this stuff go down?
Hunk, I feel like I'm starting to lose my voice after that one. It was quite the thriller. And, whenever we were talking to Station Camp before the game, they said, we're going to be playing tempo. We're going to be moving the ball fast. And I feel like towards the second half is when you really started to see more of that tempo really kick in. And you started to see guys really flying around on offense, defense, special teams. That's one thing I was talking to Coach Wilson about after the game with Springfield is just how he had guys on all three phases of the game. They were flying around the field, making plays, and you really just saw the points really. I mean, it was pretty low scoring at first, and then in the second half, man, they were making some plays.
Well, no, and I was curious about this as well because going into this ball game, like you and I were talking about this as we were getting ready for it, and you and I were discussing that. Look, going in, Station Camp 0-3 on the season. Springfield was 1-2 on the season. Again, so combined 1-5 just to start the season. And Station Camp really hadn't been really close in many ball games. I think their closest loss was a 42-39 game where they lost to Gallatin. And then Springfield won their first game of the regular season, but they're on a 2-game losing streak as well. So going into this, you had two teams that seemed to need this major win. What was the mentality like for the two teams on the sidelines, knowing that both of them were on losing streaks?
Well, both teams had not won a game this season, so that was the big storyline going in tonight. Or both teams are looking for their first win of the season. And whenever I was talking to Coach Wilson, I was talking to him on Fox 17 this morning, and he was a little hesitant to say it, but whenever he first started coaching at Springfield, this is very similar to that year and also the following, his second year. He started out 0-7, and then it was the homecoming game, and then that's whenever they ended up winning 3 games in a row, starting with that homecoming game. So maybe we were saying maybe the tide will turn for him with it being homecoming tonight, them winning tonight, getting their first win. And he just kept talking about the toughness of this team. They're very young. They only have 7 seniors that can play. There's 9 seniors total if you include a transfer that's ineligible and also another senior that's injured. So there's not much older senior leadership on this team, and he's having to rely on a lot of young guys. And that was the big storyline going in tonight. Not only are both teams looking for their first win, but they're both doing it extremely injured. The injury report that I do at the beginning of the game, it was a laundry list of names. And then as the game went on, Station Camp ends up losing their quarterback. He ended up getting hit in the nose, went out with it was a pretty nasty nosebleed. And they did not disclose his injury to me, but they said he would be out. He did not finish the game tonight, and he's also going to be out most likely next week as well. And then on the Springfield side, you have your starting running back go down. And so whenever you're already limited on the number of guys. For Springfield, you have 69 guys on that roster. You're already so limited, and then having all of those injuries. He said these guys are so tough what they're able to do out here, and that was his message after the game as well, and how proud he was of them just playing. He calls it Springfield football, tough football, and that was exactly what they did to finish out the game. You had Station Camp go down there and score on a 4th and 17 with 14 seconds left in the game, and it's your freshman. He wasn't even listed as a backup quarterback, but you have the freshman quarterback who played in a game, the freshman game last night. He comes in for the second half and scores on 4th and 17 in a big moment to go and tie the game, but they ended up going for 2, and then they did not convert, which is whenever Springfield intercepted, and that's what ended the game. But it was just an incredible thriller, really, at that second half.
No, and it wasn't like he made a bad read on the 2-point conversion either. I mean, it was a slant play right over the middle, and the 2-point conversion was a smart play to go for. You're down 34-33. That one point in time, nobody thought that he was even going to, or that Station Camp was even going to come back in this one. And you mentioned the final, but at the other time though, Sammy, as you're standing on the sidelines and we joke about how many, people you get to talk to throughout the night, how many big plays happened in this ball game that resulted in touchdowns? I know you had a kickoff return. We talked about the blocked field goal. I know there was like a 56-yard run. I mean, there was a ton of big plays in this ball game tonight.
Yeah, you had CJ Cobbins. I think he had 3 touchdowns, one of them 97 yards to the house. He returned it from the 1-yard line, and he had to take a step back and watch himself from going into the end zone. I mean, it was incredible. It was just a lot of momentum shifts, and that was something, talking to coaches ahead of the game, they said that they've had a lot of momentum shifts in the games leading up to this one, and they said we got to stop having the momentum shifting. We need to continue the momentum on our side. But, I mean, it was the same exact story tonight for both of them. So I feel like the coaches are probably living their nightmare again whenever I was talking to them off camera at halftime. They're like, man, it's the same thing. It's the same thing again this week. Because it's just, they've been hit with a lot of adversity this season, and that they're finding ways to push through.
Well, and my favorite part of the game tonight, as I was watching, was Kilton Crisp when I was talking about the blocked field goal and he tried to scoop it up, and I'm watching this play, and Station Camp, like you're just watching, and they can't pick up the football. They're just like pushing it around and they're bobbling it. I'm just like, somebody please pick up the football and just run with it. Just run with the ball.
Just run.
Like, it's all you have to do.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's something that with both coaches talking about how young the teams were, and they said we don't want to sound, both of them kept saying we don't want to sound almost like a broken record saying this over and over and over, but it is young teams that they're having to coach through stuff that you wouldn't have to necessarily coach through if you have a more veteran-led team, which both of these teams are used to having. This is something very different. And even though it is Coach Bain's first year at Station Camp, it's not something Station Camp is used to. So both of these coaches they're really having to push through a lot. But one thing that I love that Coach Bain said whenever he came back out from halftime, he said, I pulled Colton Overby to the side, which is the freshman quarterback, in the locker room, and I said, you're going to be starting for us whenever we come back out here. Are you scared? And Colton said, am I what? And Coach said, are you scared? And he said, Coach, I'm not scared. This is what I'm meant to do. This is what I'm going to do. And he said, that's when I knew that it was going to be okay in the second half. And sure enough, it was like a different Station Camp team because it really did seem like Station Camp was not going to be able to come back in that second half. But the fact that 3 freshmen played a huge role in that close to comeback, it was pretty incredible to have the kind of finish that we ended up having.
All right, so before we let you go, Friday Night Rivals, where are you guys going to be at next week?
We're going to be in my neck of the woods next week. We are going to be at Lebanon hosting Green Hill.
Oh, Lebanon tonight, big 41-17 victory that they just had over Cookeville. So that is going to be it. Green Hill, which obviously you heard right here on 104.5 The Zone, remaining undefeated 4-0. So you've got yourself a good game next week.
Yeah, no, I'm thrilled. Both of those are always really good teams, and I'm excited to have another good, hopefully close game.
All right. Well, Sammy, we appreciate it. We will talk to you next Friday night and have a fantastic remaining part of your weekend, okay?
Thanks so much, Hunk.
All right. See you later. Now, when we come back, let's talk a little bit about Ravenwood as well. We've got more scores for you as a lot of these games starting and finishing right now as they are going. If you've got a score that we have not hit on, you can call in and make sure that we get that score out to everybody that may also be a fan. And, of course, more of the action that happened around Middle Tennessee tonight here on Friday Night Finals. This is 104.5 The Zone. Friday night finals. 104.5 The Zone. Joe Hunk here with you for the next 40 minutes as we're getting you updated on all the high school football action around Middle Tennessee tonight. Earlier, as a matter of fact, a game wrapped up just a little while ago. Ravenwood went Smyrna tonight and took on the 0-3 team, and Ravenwood, the Raptors, getting the dub 28-6. And the voice of the Raptors, Chris Bozen, joins us right now on Friday Night Finals. And Chris, man, we appreciate you hopping on with us. And can you tell us a little bit about how this Ravenwood team defeated Smyrna tonight?
Man, it was not pretty. Coach Hester last week after the game at Blackman said it ain't always pretty, but it's a lot better on that bus ride home when you're going home with a W than it is with an L. Look, the first 4 possessions for Smyrna tonight were all 3-and-outs. All 3-and-out on the possessions for the Bulldogs, but the Raptors, their first 4 possessions, they turned it over on a fumble inside the Bulldog 15-yard line on their first possession. They missed a 28-yard field goal attempt on their second possession, then fumbled it away inside the Bulldog 35-yard line on their third possession, and had to punt it away on their fourth possession. So this game, Smyrna scored first, 3-0 on a field goal late in the second quarter, but on the ensuing kickoff, the speed of junior Ben Hubbard took over, and he took it all the way to the house. It was a little bit of a lateral from Donovan Starr. Hubbard ran down the Raptors sideline and took it home from about 80 yards away to give the Raptors a 7-3 lead with 3:12 to go after the Crabtree point after was good. And we thought, well, maybe we go to the locker room like that. Nope, the Bulldogs responded, kick another field goal for Coach Matt Williams, and we went to halftime at 7-6, Huck. That was not what anybody had in mind on the Ravenwood side.
Wow, no, and I was curious about that, about how that score happened, because you see the 6 points, didn't know how they got it. So it's 7-6 at the half, and then 21 points in that second half. How did the offense get going?
Look, it's big plays. The Raptors got the ball to come out because they had won the opening toss and deferred. They start at the 45-yard line, and Smyrna went for the little pop-up onside kick, but Carson Grady fell on it and covered it right away. The senior made a big play there. And the Raptors, went on a drive that resulted in a 1-yard touchdown run from senior Carter Pace. Carter's coming back as the all-time single-season rushing touchdown leader for Ravenwood. He had 25 a year ago, but had a knee injury during track season. He's just coming back from that. But he put the Raptors up 14-6 there. It was a 3-minute, 35-second, 55-yard drive. Smyrna tried to respond. They went on a long drive of their own that took up, almost 7 minutes off the clock. They weren't able to score points on it, however, and turned over on downs as Jacob Thompson got pressure on 4th down. Raptors had to punt it away their next possession. Smyrna punted it right back. And then Ravenwood, with 9:05 to go in the ball game, they got another big play from Ben Hubbard as he took the jet sweep pass from Femi Babalola 74 yards, this time down the Bulldog sideline. Crabtree's point after was good. With 7:18 to go in the game, Ravenwood finally had a 21-6 lead. But you don't think the Bulldogs are going to go away, do you?
No, absolutely not.
No, they didn't. They tried to come back out. Look, DJ Barksdale, this is a 220-pound back that gave the Raptors fits tonight, and they ran a lot of different looks, a lot of different guys at quarterback out of Wildcat. They direct snap to Barksdale and some other guys. I was impressed by Smyrna's. They show a lot of fight, a lot of tenacity. I think they're going to pick up some wins here in the second half of this season. They did turn it over on downs there, and on the first play from scrimmage from the Raptors' 30-yard line, Carter Pace dialed up a 70-yard touchdown run. That pretty much sealed it with 4:57 to play, 28-6 after Crabtree's extra point, and Raptors let the clock run down. Got to see Stephen Neves, the junior quarterback, in reserve of Femi Babalola. But, the Raptors, they get a 100-yard-plus rushing out of Pace. They get 2 more touchdowns from Ben Hubbard, and that's the recipe. That and a defense that continues to play really strong. They don't allow Smyrna into the end zone tonight.
All right, before we let you go, Chris, because you've had a Raptor defense that's given up 35 points, they've given up 28 points, and then they've had their games like against Cane Ridge where they only gave up 7, they only give up 6 tonight. Which one's the real defense?
So here's the thing. Coach Hester's talked about this all year. This is a young team. Most of the playmakers are sophomores and juniors, right? You've got a senior class that's only got 20 players in uniform, and several of those guys are actually still injured. So you've got a senior class in the teens at Ravenwood on a roster of 106 players, right?
Right.
So you got a lot of young guys seeing their first time in varsity action. And you got a lot of guys coming back healthy. We got Lane Summerall back at linebacker last week. You got Austin Mayfield back tonight. So I think what you're seeing now defensively is the real defense. And you got to keep in mind, those 35 points to Alcoa, that's a pretty good football team.
Yes, it is. No, it is. Well, and look, and then next week you guys are going and you're going to be taking on Overton as you host them. But Overton had a really tough beginning of the schedule, taking on Father Ryan, Hillsborough, and East Nashville. They barely even scored 10 points total against those three. And then tonight they scored 39 points again, their first win of the season, and you guys have them in a region game next week.
Yeah, look, I mean, look, Region 6-6A, there's no easy games. Independence went to their third consecutive overtime game tonight. You got what we like to call the team across the interstate out there opening eyes all around with their new quarterback and winning all kinds of games. I don't know what they did tonight, but Region 6-6A, Williamson County plus Overton, it's a dogfight every week. And then you look at 5A, you got Centennial, Page, and Nolensville, and I think one of those three teams, whoever comes out of there, you could have a state champion out of that group.
Well, Chris, I'll let you know before we let you go. Feel free to call anytime, man. I mean, anytime you guys get a dub, you want to talk about it, you know the phone number, man. You're more than welcome to call in and talk about it every single time.
Hey, look, I appreciate what you guys do. Look, I grew up, in college in Arkansas, and we have the Friday night call-ins and stuff like that. High school football is still the best thing going, right?
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, look at how many things that are happening. And it's crazy because, 3 weeks ago, Titans had their final home or their final preseason game on a Friday night, and there weren't that many people at Nissan Stadium. And it's not because, it was a final preseason game, but, I mean, you're having a Friday night game, and all these high schools are playing as well. I mean, all these fans who love the Titans, they still have their high school teams to support, and they're going to be at the high school games.
Absolutely. And I mean, look, the fact that you guys are still committed to it and covering these games and doing these call-in shows, it's a big deal for these kids to hear their names. That's why we broadcast the games, let everybody know how they're doing, because, you don't have as much on the, hometown newspaper, kids seeing their name in print anymore, but we try to get them out there on the broadcast and let folks know what they're doing. So thank you guys for what you do.
Hey, anytime, man. And trust me, we love you guys calling in and love hearing about Ravenwood. And quite frankly, I love the team name of the Raptors. So I'm all for you. All right, bro?
There you go, man. Appreciate it, Huck. Have a great weekend. We'll try to talk to you next week.
All right, man. You have a good one as well as Chris Bozen, the voice of the Ravenwood Raptors, joining us on Friday Night Finals here on 104.5 The Zone. But before we get to Tate Matthews, who's going to update us on how CPA did tonight, let's get you through some scores of some games that are going on, so that if you're getting out of your high school game and you kind of want to know what happened. Oakland tonight went to 3-1 as they defeated Antioch 49-0. You had Clay County getting the win over Monterey 35-13. Oak Ridge went and got a dub 41-0 as well. Looking down as South Pittsburgh got another win, because South Pittsburgh seems to always win, 29-7. Mount Juliet picked up a win, 53. We've heard conflicting scores. They still won. We just don't know if Warren County scored 13 or if they scored 20. We've been told both. But Mount Juliet did pick up that win, 53 points they scored. They are now 4-0 as well. Stone Memorial beating White County 28-26. We've mentioned numerous times about how Zone TV is on for you as well, and you can hop in on the chat no matter if you're on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, or X, and you can get those scores to us. Christopher comments on Facebook that Clarksville just went to 4-0. They've scored 180 points so far this season, and they've only allowed 21 points this season. So he is saying do not sleep on the Wildcats. We'll have some more score updates for you as we go throughout and as we are getting ready to wrap up Friday night finals. But Tate Matthews, you will hear here tomorrow morning, recapping a lot of this high school football action, joins us right now. And Tate, CPA, picking up that win over MBA, who's starting the season 0-4.
Yes, but they've played 4 really good teams, and they're getting better. You can see it tonight. So NBA is going to upset somebody's Friday night in the near future. But, yeah, they're 0-4, lost to 4 good teams, and it was a fight for a while. It was 12-0 in the second quarter, and, then NBA cut it to 12-7, then went to 15-7. So wasn't really out of hand or out of reach until about 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. But they got a sophomore quarterback, Hugh Price, good-looking kid. He's getting better, big offensive line. So, yeah, the record doesn't really reflect it. That's a good 0-4 football team.
Well, no, and there was a play that happened earlier in the game that came across my Twitter feed, and I wanted to ask you about it because it was an interception that was made by a CPA player. It was, I mean, first off, it was a really good interception, but I don't know if it was a linebacker or a cornerback that made the play, but he looked like he was 6'5". Like, he looked huge.
For them?
No, it was for CPA.
Oh, yeah. We got a lot of big kids, too. So there was a lot of good-looking football players out there, so.
Yeah,
good game though, man. The Braden Streeter threw the best ball I've seen him throw as the CPA quarterback. He threw a 65, 70-yard touchdown pass on a go route to Andre Evans. It was perfect ball. Andre just, 10, 5, 5 in the 100, right? So when you're out there alone with him, not very many people can keep up with him. He ran a great route, perfect throw, caught it, took it all the way to the end zone. That was a big play, and then Cruz Law got the second touchdown. We missed the extra point, so got the second touchdown. It's 12-0. We go for 2 and do not get it. And then we had another touchdown in the fourth quarter. Braden to another beautiful ball. Jackson Matthews caught that one for a 12-yarder. So passing game took strides today and started a sophomore at right guard. Hezzy got the start. And that's not easy to do against a defensive line like NBA's, but he held his own, and he's going to be a really good offensive lineman one day for the Lions. So good night in the den.
Well, no, and so, you get this win tonight against NBA, and BGA is coming up next week. Now, tonight, they did not. They lost tonight to Davidson Academy, 26-43. But this is a region game. So for CPA, what are you looking at with this one as they're going to be heading to Battleground Academy?
Well, Coach Martin says these are the ones that matter because we want the best possible seed that we can get come playoff time, and that's I've seen it for a long time now. He truly believes it and he lives it. So they'll get CPA's best foot forward next week, I assure you. But they got a fun guy in Caden Marable too. He's a kind of do it all kind of guy. So I would say Davidson. That's just another quality win for them. Davidson's playing really well, good on offense. So we'll have a tough test, but it's a region game. He takes those things pretty serious.
No, he does, and I know that you're going to be talking about a lot of these games tomorrow on your show. What time are you guys getting started in the morning?
8 to 9. We'll start it off with the news. We'll run down the score, performers, and then Brian Rector of Father Ryan. I'm so happy for Brian and his team. What a big win, and his program. What a big win tonight. So we'll start it off with Coach Rector. Not sure the next one yet. Haven't put that together yet, but then, as always, Tom Krager will finish us up in the fourth segment.
Look, Father Ryan tonight throwing up 56 points against Brentwood Academy. I mean, the points were just going up, and it was crazy to see as people were reacting to that. Now, what I'm actually excited about is the fact that Tate, as you and I have been talking and throughout the night have been paying attention to this, have not heard about a lot of injuries that have taken place around Middle Tennessee. We did have some last week, but not a lot of them have happened this week. But if somebody has injuries, if they're looking to get better or whatever, I know that you know of a place that they can go visit that could help them on both those fronts.
That's right. Josh Colbert and the crew at the Performance Therapy Institute. You can find them at performnashville.com. They've got 4 locations in Franklin, Brentwood, Nolensville, Nashville. The Franklin office even has Saturday hours. So if something happened tonight and we need to get this thing diagnosed as soon as we can, go to performnashville.com and we'll show you how to get to Josh. Man, they are the best when it comes to, treating our young athletes, and they believe let's get it diagnosed as soon as possible so we can start the process of getting them back on the field. Also, they've got all the proactive services, the laser therapy, the Normatec boots, stretching. I can't tell you how many of the young people, mine included, go in and see them during the week just so they're fresher on Fridays. They got a heart for high school athletes. Performnashville.com.
Well, and there was one question I have for you, and we've kind of been asking this on Twitter as well, is because I don't know the record on this, but what do you happen to know what the record amount of points scored in a first half of a football game is for the state of Tennessee? It's a very random question. I know.
I think I might know this. I'm going to say, I don't remember the year, but I'm going to say Ezel Harding scored 70 points against Loretto in a first half.
Oh,
Right?
wow. Okay, because the reason why we asked is because as we were going through halftime earlier tonight, we were talking about Franklin Road Academy, and they ended up beating Goodpasture 69-7, but they had 55 points in the first half. And so I was thinking, okay, how close are we to the record for the state of Tennessee for scores and the most points scored in the first half of a game in the state of Tennessee?
Nope. We need to fact check this, but I'm very confident Ezel scored 70 and a half.
Okay. I mean, it's only two touchdowns and an extra 2-point conversion to being close to it. So that's why I was curious about how far away we really were with that Franklin Road Academy score on that. So I didn't know if you would know or not, but I figured if I was going to ask anybody, you would be the guy to ask.
Yeah, we'll get that answer.
All right.
But if we were deal or no deal, I'm final answer. That's what I'm going with.
Okay, well, you're that confident on it, then Tate, we appreciate it, man. And I know you're going to be recapping a lot of these games as well tomorrow morning, man, and we look forward to listening to it.
All right, Hunk.
All right.
Great job, buddy. Have a good night.
Hey, thank you, sir. Have a great night and a safe trip home on that one. As Tate Matthews, you'll be able to hear him right here tomorrow morning talking about a lot of the high school football games around Middle Tennessee. When we come back, we've got more scores for you, more finals. The F&M Bank chat is open. If you are sitting at the house right now and you're watching us on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, or X, you can get those comments in and those finals in as well. And of course, you can shoot us a message at 1045 The Zone or at myself at Joe Hunk. This is Friday Night Finals on 1045 The Zone. Just about 19 minutes left on Friday Night Finals as we're wrapping up week 4 of the regular season. And as Will Bowling and Lucas Panzico are wrapping up the broadcast from Green Hill tonight, Will brought up the fact that we are almost at the halfway point. Next week, when Friday Night Finals comes on the air, a lot of these teams will be wrapping up their 5th game of the regular season, meaning that we are at the halfway point of high school football, even though the college football season just started last weekend. You have the NFL starting this weekend, and high school football is getting close to already being at the halfway point. You can watch the show on Zone TV, no matter where you are, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch, as well as on X. You can get your comments in or your questions. Like just a few moments ago, Donna asked about Marion County and Fayetteville. What was the final score of that one? Marion County won 21-14 over Fayetteville. Fayetteville starting the season 0-4 this year, where Marion County starting the season 4-0. Lebanon tonight got a 41-17 victory as they go to 2-1 on the season. Grundy County started the season as well 3-0. They got a 37-8 victory tonight as they defeated Tennessee Heat. You also had Mount Juliet Christian getting the loss tonight as they lost to Red Bowling Springs 21-6. Mount Juliet tonight got that dub 53-13. We were mentioning this just a little while ago when we were talking to Chris Bozen of Ravenwood, how Overton got their first win of the season. What's crazy about their first win with Overton is if you look at the 3 teams that Overton has lost to start the season, Father Ryan, Hillsborough, East Nashville, they had only scored 10 points combined, and they had given up over 140 points total. Tonight against McGavick, they scored 39, and they only gave up 16 as now they go into region play, and they start a stretch where they're going to be playing at Ravenwood. They're going to be at home against Brentwood. They're going to be on the road against Independence, and then they also have Summit as well. So just kind of like what we talked about earlier and what like Tate Matthews talked about with NBA and how tough their schedule has been at the very beginning of the season, is that's another one with Overton where they have played a lot of good teams. So the 0-4 record, or I should say the 1-3 record, may not actually showcase how good this team is. Also around, and we look at a lot of private school games, Pope John Paul got a 40-7 win tonight over Webb School. Friendship and Grace tonight was a very high-scoring football game as that was 42-27. Davidson Academy beat BGA Battleground 43-26. We were talking to Tate Matthews because he was at that CPA game where CPA got to a 3-1 record by going to and winning, or I should say hosting NBA and winning 22-7. Huntington won 48-14 tonight over Columbia Academy. At the very end of our conversation with Tate Matthews, we asked him about the state record for points scored in the first half, and he wanted to double check it. But the reason why we asked that is because at the end of the first half between Franklin Road Academy and Good Pasture, Franklin Road Academy had already scored 55 points. Tate says the record's actually 70, so it wasn't too far off with the reason that we were asking that question. But Franklin Road Academy eventually does beat Good Pasture 69-7. You also have Chattanooga Christian tonight being Silverdale. They won 51-24. One team that we was also paying attention to was Middle Tennessee Christian as they defeated Clarksville Academy 42-7. And the most unique one, again, the record may not actually show how good this football team is, but Baylor tonight hosting Lipscomb Academy, getting the win 34-31. We know the history of Lipscomb Academy so far this season. Their 3 losses have been to IMG, to Saraland, as well as that loss tonight against Baylor. They beat Briarcrest Christian last week 42-20. But now coming up here in just the next few weeks, they have Innsworth. Then they're hosting Christian Brothers out of Missouri. They then get NBA and Knoxville Catholic before hosting Brentwood Academy. And so just because they're 1-3 to start the season and everybody hears Lipscomb Academy is 1-3, those are 4-5 very winnable games that by the time they get to the final game of the regular season that they could have had a 4-5 game winning streak. So with Lipscomb Academy starting the season off 1-3, the record may not actually showcase really just how good that team could be. Some other games that we were getting phone calls about, as a matter of fact, Reed and Jackson back behind the glass working extremely hard to get those scores for you, as East Robertson won tonight 49-20 over Sycamore. Centennial got a 35-0 win over James Lawson. Blackman beat Summit 28-27. That was actually Blackman's very first win of the regular season. Lewis County tonight beat Hickman County 34-6. Hillsborough got that 27-7 victory over Cane Ridge, and Marshall County defeated Greenbrier tonight 37-0. We'll continue going over some scores here on Friday Night Finals. You're driving home, you're listening, you haven't heard a score of a game that you want to know about, you can always shoot us that message on X, which I still don't know if I should say shoot us a post, shoot us a tweet, don't know what it says, but 1045 The Zone, at Joe Hunk, at 1045 The Zone. You can also get in on the F&M Bank chat as we continue. And then don't forget, tomorrow, Tate Matthews, Coach Matthews is going to be on. You also have Tennessee Vol football that's going to be taking place here as well, as the Vols open up their season, at least for their very first home game of the regular season against Austin Peay. And then Sunday, Titans in New Orleans against the Saints. It's going to get going early with the countdown to kickoff, the Lee Company countdown to kickoff. Titans radio is going to take over at 11 a.m. and then kickoff between Titans and Saints is going to be at noon. But when we come back, we're going to wrap up the Friday Night Finals. We're going to go through these scores one last time so that you know everything that happened across Middle Tennessee. And if you've got a score that we have not mentioned, or maybe the game just wrapped up, because there were some games that were going extremely late tonight through the Middle Tennessee area, 615-737-1045. This is Friday Night Finals on 1045 The Zone. Friday night finals. 104.5 The Zone. I'm Joe Hunk. Reed and Jackson still taking your phone calls as a lot of scores still coming in. People are commenting on the F&M Bank chat as Zone TV is going as well as it is every single Friday as we get you ready and get you ready for not only week 5 of the regular season for high school football. Don't forget that tomorrow, full slate of action here on 104.5 The Zone between Tate Matthews getting you going early in the morning. Coach Matthews right after that. You've got Vols football happening Saturday afternoon / night, but afternoon against Austin P. And then Sunday, get going early as well as the countdown to kickoff gets you set for the Titans and the Saints. A few people have been commenting on the F&M Bank chat about a few different teams. And one of those, we were just mentioned it a few minutes ago because Blackman just picked up their first win of the regular season, defeating Summit 28-27. They started the season off 0-3, losing to Ravenwood last week. But what was cool about this is that this is Coach Kriskey's very first win for Blackman. And what was great is Carter Gregory had 2 touchdown passes in this, one of which was an 84-yard touchdown pass that eventually became the game winner. So congratulations to Blackman for picking up that dub. They go and they take on Oakland next week at a region game against one of the obviously the best teams and one of the better teams in Murfreesboro. The other game that we haven't mentioned a lot is the Beach win, as Beach beat Portland tonight 35-0. Now Beach is 2-2 on the season. So you're wondering, why do you talk about something like that? Now, they beat Station Camp to start the season. They lost to Colliersville. They lost to Riverdale. But here's what's so interesting is in the 2 games that Beach has won so far this year, they've won 21-0 and 35-0. So in their 2 wins, they have outscored their opponents 56-0. And then obviously you do have the 2 losses. So it's kind of like what we were talking about with Ravenwood just a little while ago. Which defense is the real defense? Is the one scoring no point or giving up no points, or is it the one that gave up 28 to Colliersville and 16 to Riverdale? So that's going to be something going to be interesting with Beach as they get ready to take on Independence next week at home, as they're going to be hosting them in Hendersonville. The other comment that we got on the F&M Bank chat was from Christopher talking about Clarksville. Now, we haven't talked a lot about Clarksville here on Friday Night Finals, but if you have not heard about them, they won tonight 42-0. They beat Hopkinsville by that score. Now, what's also crazy about this is Chris says that they've scored 180 points so far to start the season and only allowed 21. So they beat Montgomery Central 56-0. They beat Springfield, who was just on the MyTV 30 Friday Night Rivals game, 42-7. They beat Kenwood 41-14, and then beat Hopkinsville tonight 42-0. And then next week they're going to be taking on West Creek and Clarksville. So that is going to be paying attention to how good this Clarksville team could potentially be and continue to be, because they have West Creek, they have Dixon County, they have Northwest Clarksville after that. So a lot of games for them to go, but still, the fact they've already scored 180 points and only given up 21 is big for them. So as we start to wrap up tonight, Friday Night Finals, again, if you have not heard your school called so far, give us a call. Let us know. We'll make sure that we get that score in for you. As let's go through these scores for the last time tonight before we turn our heads to some college football tomorrow morning, as well as the NFL getting going with Week 1. Make sure to get your fantasy football rosters. I mean, come on, like for real, get your fantasy football rosters going. Pay attention. Some important players are not playing, so you just don't want to start the season with an L. Okay, you just don't. But let's get to these scores. Hendersonville tonight took out Hunters Lane 61-0. Union City picked up a win 48-8 tonight. Gallatin defeated Dixon County 48-14. You had West Creek defeated Kenwood tonight 28-7. Just a little while ago in an exciting game that was the Friday Night Rivals game on MyTV 30. Springfield defeated Station Camp 34-33. It's not just that Springfield won 34-33. Station Camp scored a touchdown at the very end of the game. Instead of kicking a field goal to send it into overtime, they went for 2, and Springfield got the interception and the win for their second win of the regular season. Also looking around right now, looking at some private school scores, as you had Clarksville Academy defeating Middle Tennessee Christian. Or I should say, flip that and reverse it. It was actually Middle Tennessee Christian getting the win, 42-7. You had Franklin Road Academy, 69, Good Pasture 7. Pope John Paul II beat Webb County or Webb School tonight, 40-7. You had Christian Brothers defeating Hillcrest, 61-0. Innsworth got a 38-14 victory over Knoxville Catholic. Father Ryan, there was a point in time in this Father Ryan Brentwood Academy score in game that it was 21-all, and then once it became 21-all, Father Ryan took over, and it was a 56-21 victory for Father Ryan to go to and remain undefeated on the season. But tomorrow morning, Tate Matthews gets you going, talking some more about these high school football games. As he is going to go, then you're going to have Coach Matthews directly after him early in the morning. Now, here's what's awesome is you're going to have Tennessee football, Vols hosting Austin P over at Neyland. You'll be able to hear that action right here on 104.5 The Zone. And then Sunday, Titans, Saints. That game is going to kick off at noon. Titans radio gets going at 11. Lee Company countdown to kickoff is before that. So we appreciate everybody that hopped on tonight, everybody that joined us. Make sure that you're back again next week for Friday Night Finals and get those scores in. We will talk to you next week right here on Friday Night Finals and on 104.5 The Zone.